Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome back to Coffee with Kem and Hills. Woo! Woo!
Coffee. Woo! Thursday. Woo! It's almost the weekend.
Woo! Yeah, we're here. We're doing it. What are you doing this weekend?
I have to fly out for a conference to Vegas. So.
Oh, she's going to Vegas.
I know, but it's for work. It's like...
Will any play be involved?
I am going to see my sister-in-law, which is very exciting.
That's good.
But not any, play on the strip.
Okay, you're not going to, Aussie Heat or anything like that?
No, but
I may or may not have a friend in the show.
I should. Oh, all right.
I do. You know what? I'm gonna explain this real quick. Because it's too good not to.
Yeah, I think this is not a story I know.
Okay, my very first performing job when I was 17 turning 18 was to be a singer at Hong Kong Disney. This is so many years ago now.
Things I did not know about.
Yeah, I was Belle, okay, in the show. And I sang as Belle. And within the show, it was kind of like a variety act. It was like a variety act, I don't know. It was like a bunch of snippets from all the shows, and I was Belle in Beauty and the Beast, and I sang, and there was the Beast, and we had our thing, and then there was a Tarzan moment, and so all the guys that played Tarzan were just these
hunk of men.
Most of them were from Australia, because it's a lot closer, casting-wise and stuff. So I dated this guy. He was a bit older than me. I was of age. It was when I was 18, I swear. We didn't start dating till the end of my contract. And he was just this beautiful Australian, sorry, Tam, you're beautiful too, everyone knows that. But, he was this beautiful Australian, guy playing Tarzan, and we just had this awesome romance, and he came to visit me even once in New York. And now he is working in Aussie Heat, the male strip show in Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to go so I can scope him out.
You have to go. And he's the best person ever. He's so funny and so awesome. And I was like, go see Aussie Heat. Go see Simon.
All right.
Go see Simon in Aussie Heat.
All right.
Was he, hello? Yeah. We've all got a past, you know what I mean?
Indeed. Apparently mine is not as fun as hers, but,
Belle and Tarzan, it was very romantic.
Seems like star-crossed lovers.
Totally, the Aussie and the American.
Continents. It's a hardship.
I know, it was the whole thing. Back to finances.
Yeah. Back to finances.
Reeling it in. I'm probably blushing. Wow. Sorry, Tam. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna get into some hot topics. We're gonna move from that hot topic to a different kind of hot topic, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So this is an article from Kiplinger. We love Kiplinger.
We do.
In what order should you tap your retirement funds? Yeah, so this is important. It has a lot to do with how they're taxed, right?
Yes.
So when you pull them, what it is and how they're taxed. So, okay, well, first of all, I fall into this category. 42% of current retirees reported they did not consider how taxes would impact their retirement income. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think this is something that we run into time and time again, and we talk about time and time again.
Yeah.
Especially as you're getting closer to retirement, it's a really good time to take a holistic view of your finances. 5 to 10 years before you're planning to retire, especially, is a good time frame to do so and check in. Make sure you're on track to retire at the age that you want to, and also set up some different things for your taxes in retirement, because when you're on a fixed income, you want to make sure you're not paying as much in taxes as you can. Right. Doesn't mean you're not paying your fair share. That's not it. But just make sure every dollar counts, or it can count. And so, there's a lot of different ways that you can set yourself up for success in making sure your taxes aren't more than you need to be paying.
Right. And I thought it made total sense as well as maybe not pulling first from the ones that are making a gain.
Exactly.
Right? So allow it to just continue gaining, right?
Yeah.
If it is.
Exactly.
Yes. So withdrawal from taxable accounts first. That includes checking, savings, joint brokerage accounts, and employer stock purchases. Okay, so by using these first, you give
your other accounts time to grow.
Yeah. So your IRA, your Roth IRA, you get my drift.
Those accounts that have more tax advantages get more time to grow, and therefore you can have more money there.
I mean, it does seem like an obvious thing, doesn't it?
Right.
So, I mean, this is why, I mean, there's so many things to consider as we're learning.
Yes.
Like, this is why we meet with our financial advisors years prior, so that you can sort of get these concepts and, you know, under your belt before we even arrive, and someone can like walk you through the best approach of like where you're withdrawing that money from first. And that's like actually a really good question to write down as well when you're gonna go speak to your, you know, it's like, what tax benefit, like what benefits me best, you know, tax-wise, to pull from first, second, third, or just look up Kiplinger's article and go from there. So second, withdrawal from tax-deferred accounts. Second, traditional IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, which are subject to ordinary tax rates when you withdraw from them.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you don't take the taxes when you're putting money into these accounts. You
Right.
take it when you're taking money out.
Right.
And then I think another thing to note here is that there is a required minimum distribution that happens at age 72. So either at age 72, if you aren't pulling money from them before, you do have to start pulling some money from them.
Right. That is good to know.
And again, you're going to be paying taxes on that as ordinary income. So, you know, making sure you're set up correctly.
Exactly. And then the last one we already covered. It's pull from both your IRAs and Roth 401ks last, because then you've given it the most amount of time to grow and build value.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're looking out for your finances when you retire and when we retire.
And when we retire, exactly. And there, you know, there's some tricky things you can do with Roth conversions, but they typically have to be done at least 5 years in advance before you're going to start pulling money out of them or before you start retiring.
See, it's always more complicated.
So that's why you need to talk to somebody before to make sure you've got everything in place.
Yes. And everyone's situation, as we've learned, is so specific to them. So, yeah, you want to talk to someone.
Exactly.
But we do love you, Kiplinger.
Yes, indeed.
And we love your tips. All right, we're going to dive right into another hot topic, because why not? Plus we have BudgetDog on the show. We have Brennan on the show today, so we need to make sure we have time for his brilliance, his financial brilliance. Okay, so this is from CNBC. How to save $750,000 for retirement with a $35,000 salary, broken down by age. I mean, I think most people can kind of guess where this is going. Like, start early.
We haven't said it before on this channel.
Yeah, because when we were like looking at the numbers that this article was giving, and they do break it down by decade, basically, it becomes a little more impossible, it seems. Like, once you kind of reach like 40 and on, but we have them written down.
Yeah. And I think
it's doable.
It's doable. So, you know, most financial advisors or experts say to be saving 10 to 15% of your income or of your salary in order to save for retirement. Now, these numbers that they gave on CNBC do not include any extra retirement accounts, any 401k matches, anything additional, and also take into account like a 6% return in the market.
Right. It's just taking into account you're making $35,000 a year. How can you, with just that, get to this $750,000?
And this is also assuming at $35,000 a year, you're not making any more as you progress. This is just you're only making that. You haven't gotten a raise or a promotion forever and ever.
First, you should have a serious conversation with your employer.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're self-employed, maybe take a look at your. Maybe talk to your employer.
Right. A real heart-to-heart, you know what I mean?
Exactly. So again, it breaks it down by age. So at age 25, in order to build $750,000 by the time you turn 65, you need to be saving about 13% of your paycheck, which breaks down to be $375 a month. So this is doable, and you know, it's within that sweet spot that financial advisors talk about, the 10 to 15%.
Right.
If you don't start until you're 30 and you have a $35,000 income or salary per year, you need to be putting away $526 per month, which breaks down to be 18% of your salary each month.
That's already becoming
Yeah.
a lot,
A lot.
on that annual, amount. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 35, you need to be putting away $747,000 per month, which is 26% of your salary, which seems, and this is before taxes, guys.
Yeah.
And benefits and all that jazz, if you're getting all those things.
Sure, yep.
And then if you don't start until age 40,
Forget about it.
you need to be putting over $1,000 a month, $1,082 a month to be exact, which is 37% of your salary. And again, this doesn't include taxes or anything else that's coming out of your paycheck. I don't know about you, but like $35,000 paycheck,
to live on, right?
Yeah, it's going to be real tough.
Really, really tough. So, I mean, the moral of the story is start early, right?
Yes. Get that compound interest to work for you.
Yeah. And it's partly our jobs to be talking to these generations coming up to improve financial literacy and better prepare them to make these choices earlier. Because I feel like, I know that we didn't talk about it much in my house. Love you, Mom and Dad. But
Yep, exactly.
we just have to do better with our kids, which we're gonna try.
We're going to do it.
All right, we're gonna take a quick commercial break, but we will be right back with Brennan Schleigbaum of BudgetDog. Welcome back, everyone. It is our favorite day of the month. It is the day that we get the best visitor, our financial expert of all experts on the show, Brennan Schleigbaum from the BudgetDog. Hey, welcome to the show.
How you guys doing? Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back.
We're always excited to have you. Thank you for joining us. I love your background.
It's thematic for San Fran.
I love it. It's awesome. You need to get a fan, blowing on you.
And some fog, a fog machine.
And a fog machine. That's true. Yeah, our hair definitely blows. We've learned that, didn't we?
Yes.
Boat show week was rough sauce on the hair, I'll tell you that much. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so what is the topic today? You're going to be talking about investing?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about investing and growing your money. So as the second pillar of my framework, we talked about tracking your money. Now, once we track it, we want to grow it.
Yes, we do.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Please tell us how.
So the biggest thing is taking, the core concept is taking the active income that we all earn from W-2 jobs and working and turning that into a passive income source eventually. And so making those investments work for us at a young age is key, right? So I'm going to start off by sharing a pretty alarming stat, and I think this might shock a lot of viewers today. So the S&P 500 has returned from 2001 to 2020 a 7.5% return. Pretty solid, pretty good. The average investor during that time period only returned 2.9%. So whether that's due to lack of education, gamifying behavior, maybe exorbitant fees, those are the actual results. And that's really alarming. So I work off my 4 key investing principles, and I like to kind of make these very simple and high level.
Yes.
Because I think anybody and everybody can do it. And so number 1 might shock you, but invest in what you understand. And I know that's extremely simple at its core, but especially in today's technological world with social media, everyone's sharing different stock tips per se. People are just blindly investing into companies. And we saw this in the pandemic when 2020 came and the stimmies were coming to us and everybody was getting all this money and they were throwing money into the stock market and in stocks that these so-called gurus were, recommending. And then we saw what happened after that, this year, in particular in 2022, when it took a nosedive and people are now wondering what happened to that money. Well, it's gone because, that stock has plummeted and most of those stocks were not the best stocks to be in or best investments to be in. So I always start off with that. And it kind of shocks people. And some people roll their eyes like, yeah, that's pretty basic, but it's something that people forget about. It's the very first step of the equation. The second step I'd say is buy and hold low cost index funds. So I want to break that down into two parts. So first off is buying and holding. And the reason why I say buying and holding is because timing the market is a really hard game to play. And I want to share a stat from if you were to invest $10,000 from January 3rd, 2000 to 12/31, 2020, if you just stayed fully invested, you would have like a 7.5% return. So that 10,000 would have grown to $42,000. If you missed the 60 best days, so only 2 months over a 20-year period, you would have a negative 6.5% return, and your 10,000 would have plummeted basically to $2,441. So the key here is like, we can't time the market. Whether we're the smartest people in the world, we have the best algorithms on our computer. It's a really hard game to play, and it's not worth us doing. So buying and holding is always one of the best strategies. And then the other piece of that was the index funds. So instead of, simply picking one stock or one company, let's just buy collectively the whole thing. And so within that index, we're going to have a lot of dead weight, but we're also going to have the top performers kind of rise us to the top. And typically it's really hard to beat the market. And so if I can just be the market, I'm pretty happy. I'm going to get good returns long-term. And it's just simple. Picking actively managed mutual funds where you have an active manager running the fund versus just a passive investment like an S&P fund where it just runs itself, you have a cost associated with that, which is called an expense ratio. And that's to operate the fund. And that's expensive. And those fees compound with time. And for the active manager to actually beat the index is so rare. So the longer that period, the lesser of the funds that actually beat the index. And so from 2009 to 2019, only 8% of actively managed mutual funds actually beat the S&P 500. And so if you expand it out upon, 20 years, 25 years, it just dwindles down. And for someone to say that they are going to go actively buy that fund and hold on it for that 20-year period and have the confidence to be in that 8% or let's say 4 or 5% at some point in time, it's really hard. And you have to have a lot of confidence to do that. And if you're wrong, well, that's 20 years of your life that you just lost. So the route to win that is to get in and out at the right time. And that's also timing the market. That's a tough game to play as well.
Wow. I mean, you're right. You did break that down you simplified that brilliantly. Like, bravo for that, because it's not easy with me, I'm telling you.
But I feel like there's a lot of people who are scared. They see the market going down, and so they want to sell off. They want to, stem the flow of blood or, money going out of their accounts. But really the smart thing is to do is to stay the course.
Think about it this way. So according to Fidelity, the best investors were dead people and inactive people. So that's really alarming, and it's kind of morbid. But if you really think about it, it's the people that didn't do anything.
Everyone just stop. Stop what you're doing. You're doing too much.
It's simple. And so the investor psychology, typically you're supposed to buy low and sell high, ideally. It works in reverse for most, investors, because what happens is there's a lot of euphoria on the way up and they're buying at the very top. And then it sells off and the pessimism comes into the market, the sentiment shifts, and people begin to sell off, but after it's dipped. And so you're selling at a loss typically. And so when the market does present an opportunity like it does right now at 20% down, it's a good time to buy. But that gets me into point number 3 is dollar cost averaging. So if you say, okay, I'm going to wait to the top and I'm going to sell up there and I'm going to buy at the bottom, that's still timing the market, and it's a tough game to play. Looking back, hindsight's 2020, it's very simple. But looking forward, no one has a crystal ball. Right. So dollar cost averaging makes that very, very simple. So this is literally just taking a fixed dollar amount on a periodic schedule and buying automatically. You're eliminating any bias, any emotion, and you're just setting it up. Most people know this is like a 401k investment every 2 weeks, but you can set up all your investments like this. And I do myself, either a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis, depending on the account, because that's the easiest way to win long-term. You are buying more automatically when the market dips, and you're buying less at the top, but you're not changing the dollar amount. Right. So over the long haul, you're going to win. And so you don't have to worry about when the market's going down, because you didn't put all your capital in at one point in time, you literally are buying increments the whole way up and down. And it's really common. People are dollar cost averaging up, but not on the way down. And that presents a major issue for a lot of investors if you don't go on the way down. So you have to do on the way down and the way up. You have to stay on the roller coaster the whole time.
So play dead.
Yes, that's a good way to look at it.
I like that takeaway.
Forget your password, put your automatic investments on, and just live life.
You know, I love this because I feel like there's so much legwork and so much that we need to understand and be on top of. Like we were just talking about updating trusts and wills and all of these things that are just nags in life, you know, that you're like, I don't like, it's not something I want to do on the weekend, you know? And it's nice to hear like, stop doing so much.
It's a weird game because most stuff in our life, it's like the more you do, the better your results, the harder you work. The market typically works in reverse, which is it's weird for a lot of people. It doesn't add up for a lot of people. Right.
Well, this is like my favorite advice so far. This resonates with my personality brilliantly.
And we can even go further past this is like a lot of people think by buying the S&P 500, you're going to get a linear line up and everything's going to look great. That's not what happens. There's a lot of volatility. So I always like to talk about the context behind, let's say 8 to 10% that people talk about. Yeah. The market, 6 of the last 95 years has actually seen 8 to 12% any given year. So it's like less than 6 or about 6% that's going to actually return 8 to 12%. Most times it's way up or way down. And if you expand that, it averages out to 8 to 12% or 8 to 10%. So understanding that is very important to have context of the whole situation so you don't freak out and sell when the market's down, especially like now. Right. Because stocks fall 10% once per year, 20% every 5 years, 30% every decade, and 50% a few times per century. So there's a lot of volatility, but as long as you own quality, you have a long-term investment time horizon, you're diversified, and you have good cash flow, you're going to be in a really good position.
I'm just impressed you have all these stats in your head.
I don't know about that.
Cut to, there's like cheat sheets like plastered all over the wall. I'd feel much better about myself if that were true. Right? Like sticky notes, like that made me feel better about myself, but it's fine. I know that you're brilliant and I love it. And that's why we're so lucky to have you. Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys. But I haven't ended the 4 points I want to talk about. So the fourth one is aligning your portfolio with your risk profile. Okay. So I always have people, I ask them, what type of person are you? Risk neutral, risk, averse? Are you risk seeking? And most people are like, I don't know what I'm like in the market. But I always say, what do you like? If somebody literally robbed your house, I know that sounds insane. How would you react? If you were put on the spot in a public setting, how would you react? Like real life scenarios, how would you react as a person? And that's typically tells me like, are you a saver? Are you a spender? Like you can tell what type of person you are. But on top of that, there's a lot of quizzes out there. And I often have a lot of students of mine in BudgetDog Academy go through this quiz through Charles Schwab that kind of gives you an ideal allocation for your portfolio. So that's a hard thing to get to a lot of times for a lot of investors. Like, how do I know? Like I want the 10% returns, but I don't want the 30% downturns. So how do I minimize that, volatility in the meantime? And that's adding the right asset classes, the right sectors, the right exposure of different assets, of different investments. And if you do that properly, you're going to be fine because you're going to be able to handle the ups and downs of the market as long as that aligns with your risk profile.
Yes. Okay.
And I think that's, to your point, that's the tricky thing is that people don't know how they're going to react until something bad happens. Like when your account is up, you're like, this is great. This is awesome.
Right.
And then when it's down or there's a downturn and your account is down, if you're not willing to, have the long-term vision, it can be a little bit disconcerting.
Well, and relating it to like real life scenarios. I mean, financial things are real life scenarios, but some people like, they kind of like sever the two. Like, it's like, okay, I don't know how I would be for that because I don't understand this as much. So maybe I'd react differently, but likely, who you are is who you are, So ask yourself these questions and you might be able to, figure out where you fall, which category you fall into. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And it's not, there's no right or wrong. Like you can be a risk averse person or a risk seeking person. As long as you accept that and create a portfolio that works with that, you're fine. Like it's totally fine because you'll be able to withstand that because you know yourself best.
Right.
That makes sense.
It makes total sense. Yeah, I feel like I'd be one of those people that would say, I don't know how I would be with that, you know? But if you asked me about someone robbing my house, I guess I would have a clear picture of my reaction. So yes.
And you can always look back to like examples like March 2020. So we actually experienced a mini recession, very light, but it was a recession technically. So when we had that cliff dive, like, did you sell? Did you panic sell? Like, how did you react in that situation, even from market relation? Like, and you probably have the answer. And, you know, a lot of people are like, I didn't really pay attention. And some people are like, yeah, I lost everything.
Yeah, it's kind of true.
Yeah.
I remember my parents' reaction for sure. You okay?
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for all the great advice. I think that it's really important as people are working on growing their money to understand some fundamentals and really, you know, break it down very clearly and concisely is super helpful.
Yes. Like making these topics digestible for everybody is key, and you do it brilliantly. And that's why we love having you so much.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, money is simple. Let's just make it simple.
Okay. I'm getting there. I'm on my journey. Thank you so much for joining us. And I can't wait to have you back on the show next month, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll be back.
And between then and now, I'll just watch all your videos on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Daily video content out all the time.
Yes, you're so on it, and it's so good. It's so good. So yes, thank you so much, Brennan, and we'll see you soon.
Appreciate it, guys.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us on another amazing Thursday. I just wanted to remind all of you not to forget to miss today's episodes of Options Crash Course, if I can speak, Elder Talk, and Browns in Suits. You can catch them all on ROI TV. Where at?
Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or on your phone or tablet, whether it's an Android or Apple product.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Coffee with Kim and Hills. We'll see you next week with more big old, well, moderate-sized cups of coffee.